Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel Music and Logic. So this is part 2 of our Python tutorial series, and in this part of our series we are going to dive into some essential Python basics, and in this video we'll explore the following topics. Python syntax rules, where we'll look at how Python syntax is designed to be simple and readable, and indentation. Python uses indentation to define code blocks, and we'll see how it compares to other languages. And comments in Python. We'll cover how to use comments effectively in Python to document your code. And variables. You will learn about variable types and how Python's dynamic typing makes variable handling straightforward. We'll go over the best practices for naming variables in Python, and we'll discuss the different data types Python supports and how they are used. And finally, type conversion. We'll explore how to convert between different data types in Python. And by the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of these fundamental concepts, which will help you write cleaner, more effective Python code. Let's jump right in and get started with Python syntax rules. So first, let's talk about Python's syntax rules. Python is known for its simple and readable syntax. It is case sensitive and statements are written line by line. You can place multiple statements on a single line using a semicolon. So here is a quick example where you can see print statements with hello world and Python is fun. And also in comparison, I have given Java example where the same code is written in this way. So in Java, you would write the code like this. So you can see that Python requires fewer lines and is more concise. So in comparison with other programming languages, Python syntax is very simple and readable. Coming to Python indentation, Python uses indentation to define code blocks, unlike languages that use curly braces like C++. And white space is very crucial in Python. So here is an example where you can use the indentation in correct way. So differentiate between the correct way and incorrect way of using the indentation. And when comparison with C++, note that Python uses indentation instead of curly braces for code blocks. And comments are used to explain code and are ignored during execution. Python supports single line comments using the hash symbol and multi-line comments using triple quotes. So there is no issue even if you do not include comments in your code, and comments are just for greater understanding of the code. So here is an example how you write the single line comment and multi-line comment in Python. So in JavaScript, comments looks in the given way, and Python uses hash for single line comments and triple quotes for multi-line comments. What are variables? Variables in Python store data values. Python is dynamically typed, so you do not need to declare the type of a variable explicitly. So here is an example where you can see that the variable x is assigned to an integer value 5, and the variable name is assigned to a string which is Tom, and the variable height is assigned to a floating point number 5.9. And when comparison with C++, in C++ you would declare the variable in the given way. In Python, you don't need explicit type declarations. So try to differentiate between Python and C++ code so that you'll get the difference. Coming to naming conventions for variables, Python naming conventions are quite straightforward. Variable names must start with a letter or an underscore and cannot contain spaces or reserved words. Let's look at some valid variable names. And the first one is a valid variable name. It starts with a letter and uses an underscore to separate words, which is perfectly fine in Python. Here we have a variable name that starts with an underscore. This is also valid. It's a common convention to use underscores for variables that are intended to be private or for special purposes. And now let's check out some invalid variable names. First, place equals to Tom. This is an invalid variable name because the variable names cannot start with a number. In Python, variable names must begin with a letter or an underscore. If equals to condition. This is also invalid because if is a reserved keyword in Python. Reserved keywords have special meanings in the language and cannot be used as variable names. So in Java, valid and invalid naming would be in the given way. So we can say that Python is case sensitive and more flexible in naming. Data types in Python. Python supports several data types, and here are some of the most common ones. And the first one is integer. These are whole numbers without any decimal points. For example, age equals to 30 represents an integer. And float, these are decimal numbers, which means they have a fractional part. For example, height equals to 5.9 is a floating point number. And strings are sequences of characters enclosed in quotes. For example, name equals to John, which are enclosed in strings. And boolean, this data type represents truth values. It can be either true or false. For example, is underscore active equals to true is a boolean value. And let's compare this with how you would handle these data types in C++. In C++, you would use int for integers, where int age equals to 30. For floats, you use float height equals to 5.9. Strings are represented with string, where string name equals to John. And for booleans, you use bool, where bool is active equals to true. You can observe the examples below. One key difference is that Python handles these types dynamically, meaning you don't need to explicitly declare the type of a variable. Python figures out the type based on the value assigned. Type conversion or casting. Python allows you to convert data types using built-in functions like int, float, string, and bool. Here is an example where you can understand how the type conversion is taking place. And comparison with JavaScript. In JavaScript, you would see the type conversion in the given way. Python has built-in functions for easy type conversion. So here is an example program for better understanding. Uh, Create a variable for your name, age, and check if you are an adult using a boolean. Convert your age to a string and back to an integer. So here I'll be explaining the program. Firstly, variable definition, where name is a variable that stores a string alias and age is a variable that stores an integer 25. And now is adult is a boolean variable that checks if the age is greater than or equals to 18. And in this case age is 25, so is adult will be true. And now let's print the values. So these prints the values of name, age and is adult to the console. Now, for type conversion, age str converts the integer age into a string. So, if age is 25, age str will be 25 within the quotes. And age int converts age str back into an integer. Since age str is 25 within the quotes, age int will be just 25 without the quotes, which is an integer value. And here str represents string. And now printing converted values. This prints the converted values of age to show how the type conversions work. So the overall the code demonstrates how to define variables, check conditions using booleans and perform type conversions in Python. I hope you understood the code. Here is an exercise question for you all. Try it out yourself and let me know in the comment section if you are able to do it or not. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with any topics you would like to see covered in future videos. In our next video, we'll dive into basic input and output as well as operators in Python. Stay tuned and see you next time. Bye bye.